I love to see your energy and excitement and a community ready to soar. Before we dive into today's powerful session, let's quickly recap what we learned to our previous session. So it's about beliefs. So one is beliefs are internalized. Every action and decision we take is driven by our beliefs, leading either a positive or a negative outcome. Beliefs can be changed. There's a saying that people don't change, which often reflects on our tendency to hold onto default beliefs formed early in life. And number three is beliefs build or destroy us. So put a chat in saying that what are your beliefs? What do you know what is belief? So if there's any first timers here on this call, would love to get to know you. Please introduce yourself, share your name, where you're from, and who's invited you. And if you feel comfortable, leave your details in the chat and we will get back to you. So I am so looking forward to what's up ahead. Before we start in, I just want us to be grounded. So let's take a deep dive in and just breathe. So I want you to just take a moment and focus on what this is about for tonight. This is about you. And let's just take a deep breath in and take a breath out. So we're going to do that again. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. So without further ado, let's keep this positive vibe. Type in 888 or new beginnings in the chat to welcome Rueben as he shares practical strategies and to help empower your beliefs and build an empowering mindset. And let's give him a warm welcome. So put an 888 or new beginnings and say, hey, Rueben. Thank you. Over to you, Rueben.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you, M. Guys, can we put in a 777 for our M because she's done such a great job in hosting. And watch out because she's the host soon as well. What a blessing.
Everyone. Gotta go, everyone.
Good to see you. Hello, Ross. Hello, Hiromi. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Good to see some new guys on. Hello, Shalindra. Welcome. Good to have you on. Brendan, good to have you back. We'll connect with you, see where you're at. We've got a few people who haven't turned up our normal. So if you guys pick that someone isn't on yet, just go text them and say, hey, jump on. So we can jump into our training today. And how is everyone doing? I'm feeling good. Middle of July, can you believe it? 15th of July, we're already in the middle of the month. How quickly time goes. But it's exciting times. It said this month is about that learning, earning, growing and building up into a heavier load where we will see an increase in capacity. And we want to see that whether it's $2 growing to $50, whether it's $200 growing to 2,000 or 200,000, 20,000 going to 200,000, we want to see that increase that takes place over our time. Oppo, can you tell us what your name is and we'll help you change it over here so that we don't call you Oppo. But welcome, Oppo. Good to have you on as well. And let's give it a couple more minutes, guys. I just want you to make quick calls to some people. I'm going to put the music on for about 2 minutes. There are a few of our guys who haven't turned up who normally show up. Just they may have somehow missed, with winter time. The cold seems, it changes very quickly. It feels like it's darker sooner than later. So our timings sometimes get messed up. So how many of you like the song I put on? That was pretty cool, huh? I'm going to put another bit on as we grab some people. Here we go. Got some of them jumping in. Let's give them a minute. Get some music happening. Let's see what this new one is going to be. Oh, Finish Line.
Hi, everyone.
Carol, welcome. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Just beginning to enjoy that music. How awesome is that? Awesome. Let's get started. Lots to do. I hope you guys got your notepads out and ready to go. And as we train up in the wealth creation side of things. Beautiful. Should got the right screen going. Here we go. Awesome, guys. So we're continuing this series on the next step in freedom. And just last week, how many of you remember what we did? And thank you, M, for a great giving us a little bit of summary on that. We're talking about building the F word with B, right? Which is a faith word with belief. I'm just going to make sure everyone is muted. Just so because we're recording as well. Awesome. Okay, so building the F word with B, so building the faith word with belief, and how important that is, and how we can take that out and help ourselves. We talked about that faith. How does faith work to overcome fear? We talked about all you need is a mustard seed of faith, and nothing is impossible, and that everything is within the seed, right? And this little mustard seed, and I love this little statement here. It says, "I have a mustard seed, and I'm not afraid to use it." But that's how much faith you require to build something massive, right? How many of you would agree with that? Put a 333 in the chat group if this is making sense. We covered last week. I'm just rushing through a little bit of that summary, and then we move into today's training on some more practical stuff that's going to just challenge you a little bit more and excite you, hopefully, as well. So I mentioned to you this, and this is important, the belief cycle, that the producing of the tree is in the belief. The faith is there. It's like a seed. It's got its DNA in it. Doesn't need anything additional. It's our belief, which is like the soil as we plant, that we'll see some massive things change. So the amount of belief you have determines the amount of potential you can tap into. The amount of potential you tap determines the amount of action you take. The amount of action you take determines the results you get, and the results you get determine your belief in yourself, and that in turn releases more potential. All right, so potential, action, results is what we're looking at with belief. Make sense? All right, and we talked about this last week. Get the video if you missed it. All right, so we talked about these three areas that M said about our beliefs, that beliefs are internalized, beliefs can be changed, and beliefs build or destroy. All right, so for those of you that were here, most of you were here from last week, was that something that you really picked up on that helped you? Yes or no on a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful was that? Pop it in the chat groups. Remember, we're interactive in our training, so that helps us to grow and to further our knowledge, put it into practicality. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the belief system, and talking about belief last week, how effective was that to you? Pop it in the chat group. And 8 for Rubika. What about for others? How effective was the belief system for you? And as you're doing that, guys, they're going to shift focus from just this talking about stuff to coming down into creating $1 million a year business starting from 150,000 per year. And what does that look like to you? Think about what I've just said. M said put a billionaire mindset, 100%. So from a billionaire, we first need to make millionaires and multimillionaires, right? And from a multimillionaire, what would it look like having an income of $1 million a year? But we start from 150,000 a year. How many of you would be happy to start a business or look at a business that you're in control of, that you take charge of, that would give you $150,000 a year and build? Because if you can make 150, you can make $1 million, and it builds up. So if you start with 150 and you get it all working well, 6 times of that is $1 million, and all you do is gear it up. Okay. And so some of you this would be helpful to you. Some of you, it may not be interesting to you, but I want to put it out for you today, because I want you to be able to look at this as one option of creating another income that is separate from work. All right, so we've got two people who are interested. What about the others? You know, what sort of interest would you have if you could create $1 million a year business starting from 150,000 per year? And I'm not promoting a one particular platform. It's just looking at it from a general perspective. All right, and seeing how is this going to help you and how is it going to make a difference for you. So what we talk about is how do I achieve this is by looking at what's in your hand. Okay. What's in your hand that you actually have within you that $150,000, that $1 million, that $1 billion opportunity. It's already there. And some of you are starting to look into these ideas. Let me take Ross as an example with the guitar and with the singing and with the songs. Ross, that's possible to make into $150,000 income potential. How, you may ask? Well, listen on and we'll go to the next stage on that. Okay. I know at one time Sandy was doing some of these amazing quilts that she was sewing just a couple of years ago. Can that be transformed into a $150,000 business and possibly $1 million business? Something worth looking into. Okay. Margaret's talked about, you know, everyone needs the hormonal therapy, might sort a lot of issues out, and not just for women, but men as well. Could that be changed into a business idea? And so why would we want to do that? Well, here's the question I'm asking you guys to think about. What are your abilities, talents, investments, and purpose that you can share with the world, monetize, and have fun along the way? Okay. So a lot of times we may have two schools of mind. Let me make money regardless of whether I have a passion for it or not. On the other side, let me do what is my passion and I'll do it for free. What if you can combine the two? Because oftentimes our passions already we're doing, right? Who we are. So I want you to think about writing down what are your abilities, your talents, your investments, but also what are your passions? What do you like doing? And if you can write it down, if you've got no clue, have a chat and ask people, what am I good at? So I'm going to do a little exercise now. Those of you that know me, what are 3 things about me that you feel I'm good at? Could you pop it down? Because sometimes it's easier and be nice. 3 good positive things. Ross, behave yourself. What are 3 things that come to your mind when you think of Rueben? And this is just an exercise to help you think about others as well. Helping people. Thank you. Still don't know who Oppo is. Does anyone know who Oppo is? If Oppo, can you write your name and we'll change it, because at the moment it's showing you showing your name of your phone. We'd love to know who Oppo is. So what are three characteristics that you would say? And this exercise I want you to do, if we get some time after, we'll jump into groups and I want you to ask the persons there. Most of you know each other. What's 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things that you would say about me? Why that's important is, and that's an exercise if we don't get to do today, that you can also do by yourself. Go up to about 10 people that know you and say, hey, what are 2 or 3 things, not more than 2 or 3 characteristics that you would say that I'm passionate about, or that you would say that I'm really good at doing? Because that's important. Okay. So we got speaking, teaching, leadership, helping people, coaching people, giving business ideas, nurturing. Here's Teresa. Awesome. Okay. Hello, Teresa. Rubika, I'll make you co-host. Maybe you could help change that to Teresa. Entrepreneurial, creating new business ideas, coaching. Brilliant. Okay. So can you see when I ask people that shows me, and then I look at it and go, what are those things that are my passion? Sincere, transparent, helpful. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so that helps me with some character, some ideas, some thoughts. So I want you to think about and write this down. What do you think you're good at? And then go ask about 5 or 6 people. You know, what are you good at? What do you say I'm good at? What are 3 things that I'm good at? What are 3 characteristics of mine? Okay, good at giving to people, good at planting, good at praying for people. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So imagine how you can make so much income that you don't know what to do with it. And we're talking about this yesterday for those of you who did that, book, started the book with us at Home Church, Better Than the Tides. But I love this imagination. Imagine how you can make so much income that you don't know what to do with it. And I spoke to you about a couple of examples of people calling me up and saying, yeah, I've made an extra $10,000. I don't know what to do with it. And I go, I'm sure I can do something with it, right? Imagine giving away 80 to 90% of your income, living off 10 to 20% and still having too much. How would you guys feel about that? So I want you to think about how much money would you need a year to live off, comfortably live off? How much money would you imagine how much money would you need a year? And I want you to put in the chat group, because pretty much all of us need, there's a certain amount that we need, and that's it. We're comfortable there. 100K, yeah. USD or AUD, Shalindra? Would that be AUD? USD? Great. So that's about 150 Aussie, 130, 100, maybe about 130 Aussie, right? So let's do it in USD. Helping people, the underprivileged, widows, extra live their purpose. Thank you. Okay, about 150K. Yeah. What about others? How much do you think you'd be able to live off comfortably? I like Mom Carol, 150, 200,000. Margaret, 150, 200,000. Brilliant. 100,000. Ross and Hiromi, great. Okay. So we've got an idea. Now, what if we multiply that 10 times and make that amount of money? So if it's 100, let's say 100 to 200,000, what if you can make $1 to $2 million a year, live off 100 to 200,000 and give the rest away? How would you guys feel about that? Okay. And would that be something you'd aim for? Yes, 100%. This is what we want to aim for. So what's in our hand to be able to achieve this? Yeah, 1 million would be awesome. So what if we had 1 million? Would we use 1 million? And this is where wealth is different from riches, because the rich chase after money and they'll use it all. But the wealthy control money. And part of controlling money is knowing what you need and what you don't need. Now, let me stop my share for a moment. And as I was mentioning to you guys before, and I'll just spotlight me. So this is one of the books I'm reading at the moment, Psychology of Money. I'm actually reading about 4 books currently. And one of the most important things I love about this guy, I haven't read in many books, he also talks about the difference between the wealthy and the rich. All right. And he says one of the best ways of making wealth is to save money. Right. But we save and we use what we need. We don't need to use more. Like, you don't have to keep up with the Jones. You don't have to have a 50-story house with 50 bedrooms in it, each having a bathroom, so 50 bathrooms, if it's just you and 3 others living there, right? You don't need to show off your riches. You just literally live in a place that is very comfortable. That's good living, good experience. And then what do we do with the rest? And once we have that in our mind, then we don't stop at saying, oh, I've made 100,000, I'm happy, that's it. No, we go, what if I can make 1 million and live off 100 or live off 200,000 and give away 80%? Would that make you feel good? Right? Would that make you feel like you can also not just feel good, but you're achieving something in life? And then guess what? If I can show you how to do those things, and you can learn through these years how we learn to do this sort of stuff, and just gear up, start with 150,000, gear up. You could teach others to do the same, guys, because you're learning principles, right? So it starts with what's in our hands. Okay. We all have a treasure within us that can be used to fulfill our life's calling. All of us have this. So we literally have this 150,000 or 100,000 or $200,000 idea, because nobody has put, I need more than $200,000 a year to live. That's great, because that's about right. And I put that in my book. Everywhere I've traveled around the world, between $100,000 to $200,000 a year is pretty much all we need to live. Covers our expenses, gives us enough to enjoy life as well. Okay. So here's something that's important in this path to financial freedom. Really important for us to think about. It doesn't start with financial freedom. This is something a lot of people have missed out on. This is what I continuously go back to, and it really helps me. It starts with economic independence. If you want to get financially free, start with economic independence. What is economic independence? It's doing the things that I'm passionate about, I've been purposed to do, I've been called to do, regardless of money. So I want us to stop having this excuse that says, I'll start doing this. I'll start helping more people. I'll start giving to more people. I'll start when I have more, or I'll start living my life better, or telling our family, I'll spend more time with you when my life is when I have better more things happening, and when I have more money. Regardless of money, live out your passion. That's economic independence. Now, this was a game changer for me. As a lot of you know my story, when I was $200,000 in debt, had gone through a divorce, had lost everything. It was at that point that I engaged into economic independence. It was that point that I actually retired out of 9 to 5, and it was at that point I saw a miraculous thing happen, that I did what I am purposed to do. As you can see, my map, I love, and that statement there that says the value of a soul that none should perish. That's my personal desire, passion, is to travel around the world and do all those things that you guys put there. Thank you, about who I am. Okay. And so I did it regardless of money. Whether there was money, whether there wasn't, we were doing stuff. And we still continue to do stuff regardless of money. The second step, once you've understood how to do that, where you can have economic independence, doing the things you need to do and just growing in capacity on that, is financial independence. Before financial freedom, you need financial independence. That is learning how to steward well what you've been given. And the third step is financial freedom. All right. Now, the first step is always about sacrifice, because you have to sacrifice something, not someone, but something. Well, you do have to sacrifice someone. That's yourself. Your thoughts, the things that come against this, because we are our biggest enemy, to get to financial independence. Once you get to financial independence, then it's good stewardship. If you can steward things well, then financial freedom is about multiplication. You guys getting this? Making sense? Okay. So I will bang on about this all the time, because I haven't found a better a way to understand this. And so I always say to people, if ever you feel like you've lost everything, and you've done really well and you lost everything, or you feel like you're always going back to a broke stage, then you need to first understand economic independence. Once you understand economic independence, then nothing financially can get you down, because you live out your purpose. And when you live out your purpose, people are happier living out their purpose than having lots of money. Did you know that? Like, there are people who earn $400,000, $500,000 a year that I know, and they're not happy, and they're having problems. They have relationship problems, or they have problems at their work, or they have problems. So it doesn't matter how much you earn. It doesn't buy happiness. You've heard that? Money doesn't buy happiness. Okay, but it sure makes you happy, but it doesn't buy happiness, right? It sure beats maybe being poor. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy and content, then money means nothing. So if you can learn to do it regardless of money, whether you have it or not, something powerful begins to take place. So good stewardship is powerful, because when we learn to have the buckets, I'll teach you about the buckets sometime. Have a bucket for savings, have a bucket for emergency, have a bucket for debt reduction, have a bucket for multiplication, have a bucket for investments. When you start having multiple buckets, as you steward well your finances, then that's when multiplication can take place, because you then go to the next stage. So with economic independence and sacrifice, the question I have for you, and I want you to write this down, and you can put in the chat group if you want to, but just this is more personal, is what are you willing to sacrifice today to achieve financial freedom? And here's the thing that I don't want you to sacrifice. Do not sacrifice your health. Do not sacrifice the relationships and time you spend with people who are important in your life. Okay, one thing I love about Shalindra bro is that he spends 3 days a week. He is telling me he and his wife go on dates together during their lunch break, because they work close by to each other. That's awesome. And I know, Shalindra bro, you're on your way to financial freedom, but you haven't sacrificed that. All right. So do not sacrifice health. Do not sacrifice your family and relationships, because we can't get back that time. I try to, on a Friday, put aside time. I don't always get there, but I'm getting more and better at it. Friday, just a day off where we spend time during the day with the kids, the little ones, and take them out somewhere, get them to enjoy, have fun together. Because we're always in the house together, sometimes we forget to spend time together, right? Because right now I'm teaching you guys, and they're somewhere around, But by the time I finish, and we have another meeting after this at 8:30, and by the time I finished all that, there's probably time for them to go to bed, right? So today, this morning, I got to spend, even though it's on a Friday, I got to spend time with them while they were studying, and we had a bit of fun together. All right. So don't sacrifice that. But what will you sacrifice? What about your Netflix movies? I'm on Disney, so I'm okay. No need to sacrifice my Netflix. All right. But what about some of those things that you do? I spoke to my son the other day, Hyson, and said, would you sacrifice your games that you play after you finish school? But then afterwards, I told him not to. Why? Because he does everything else that he's required to do. He ticks off every goal. So I said, okay, you're going to spend 2 hours a day, and that's all you're spending on some games that have no value, right? Because I said, would you agree? I said to him, does this have a value? So I want you to sacrifice things that don't have a value. All right. And so why? Because use that time to learn or to design or to create, because you want to land your dreams, right? Because if I ask all of you here, how many of you want to be a millionaire or multimillionaire, because some of you already have achieved the millionaire status, you'll all put your hand up and say yes. The question is, how do we land it? How do we actually have practical that comes from it? Okay. If you guys are running with me on this, I want you to put a 888 in the chat group just so that I know, hey, I'm getting this. It's making sense. So, and I want you to write down, you don't have to type it in because it's personal, but write it down at least on your notes. What am I willing to sacrifice? Okay. If I'm on a plan this month to hit another goal in my weight loss and my activities of becoming more fit. Now, if I don't walk the steps that I said I'm going to walk, or jog or do the exercise I said I'm going to do, then it won't happen, right? That's because it's part of my plan. If I don't eat the food I'm saying I'm eating. So there's a discipline there. So I'm sacrificing some things. And part of that is sometimes I have to wake up a little bit earlier, an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier than I'd like to wake up, just to put that exercise in, because I know the day is going to be full. Or I stay up a little bit later and make sure I do that. Or in between the day, I make sure I encompass some of those things I want to do. So what are you sacrificing? And for me, it's sacrificing a little bit of my sleep, or maybe sacrificing a little bit of my time, where I'd go and have a look at something on my phone, just have a stop and go and do some push-ups, or go and eat the right food. Make sure I've changed my mindset. One of the biggest things for me is when I was hungry. I don't know if anyone else is like this. My wife isn't. She's the total opposite. She can be hungry as what do we say? Hungry as a what? Hungry as a dog? I don't know. She can be totally hungry, and she will spend 1.5 hours making her food before she eats it. And when I say I'm hungry, I've got to eat immediately, right? I don't have prep time. If the food's there, it has to be eaten. If it's not there, it'll be the wrong foods. Now, I had to change my mind, and part of that was sacrificing and understanding it's going to take time to prepare my food. Maybe it'll take an hour, maybe it'll take 45 minutes. So when I'm hungry, my mind had to change and begin to recognize it's going to take time. I'm stewarding it well. How does this relate to finances? Well, hopefully you guys will connect the dots on how this relates to finances, right? Because with your finances, you've got to learn to sacrifice as well. Don't go spend that $100 on that shoe, or the $200 on that shoe, if you think you've got enough shoes right now that you can use. Instead, take that money and say, how can I invest it well? How can I steward it well, right? Don't go and upgrade your phone just because it's time to upgrade. If you can keep the phone and it's in still really good condition, and you don't have to just spend the money to upgrade. Okay, making sense? So stewardship is, are you ready to mature your stewardship abilities and grow your asset base? What is an asset base? An asset base is your foundation. It could be your properties, it could be some savings, it could be your getting out of debt and getting in a better state where you're not using or wasting your income. That's creating a steady place. Imagine it as concrete, okay? Foundation, putting concrete before you build, pouring that foundation. Is that making sense? And so the next step with financial independence, if you haven't done this, forget about financial freedom. Right. So we're just landing some of the dreams. See, we've been talking about what? Dreams. We've been talking about, we've been talking from dreams about purpose. We're talking about vision. Okay. So from dreams comes that vision, and from vision, it connects to purpose, and purpose also is connected with our goals. All right. You can never have too many shoes. I agree, my dear. I think I've got lots of shoes too, but Hey, sometimes you got to sacrifice. All right, we'll choose the belts then. No, not many belts. So I want you guys to get to a place where you're learning to steward things well and making decisions. Is this a choice I need to have or not? Now, my wife and I love going out for coffees. One day I calculated how much coffee we're having every single day. We're spending on $10 a day. Sometimes twice a day, $20 a day. Let's say 200, maybe 300 days of the year. How much is that, guys? $10 a day, 300 days of the year. That's $3,000. $20 a day, $6,000. Wow. Is that a lot of money? Yeah, over a year when you put it in that perspective. Now, don't get me wrong. When I have financial freedom, I have excess money I don't know what to do with, is it a big issue? No. If I've done everything else and I'm still working on my 10 to 20%, that's okay. But if I'm in the economic independence side or the financial independence side, would it be a big issue? Yes, because I could save that money and I could invest that money and I could reinvest that money until I've got my asset base well. And this is the important thing. Is that making sense to you guys? Get your assets. And if you've lost some of the assets, build the assets again. Okay. And every year, look at what you're doing and look back and go, have I built? Have I not built? Have I achieved? How am I handling this? Right? Why am I spending a lot of time on this? Because this is such an important aspect. I speak about it often over the years, and sometimes I speak to someone and they've forgotten this. They haven't realized this. So I want you guys to really get a hold of this. Okay. Where's my coffee for $5? McDonald's has a good coffee. Is that too cheap? I don't know. I like McDonald's coffee. Shouldn't be giving away my secrets, but I have a great coffee at home now because I use cream and it's even better than anything else. Are you ready to find ways to massively multiply your financial growth and assets? Now, when you get from financial independence and we got into financial freedom, one of the things we had to think through was, am I ready to find ways? But remember, you can't massively grow your financial assets until you've done step 2 and step 1. Okay. So it's important. You'll always be sacrificing stewarding for multiplication, because every time we multiply, we sometimes come back. Oh, is my screen not sharing in all of this? Has it been sharing? Wow. So you guys haven't seen anything I've been sharing here.
No, it hasn't. I just saw you looking that side and I thought maybe I better ask.
Amazing. I got some beautiful slides here and none of you were looking at it.
Watching your beautiful face.
Okay, I'm wondering why everyone was silent. Okay, here it is. Take a screenshot. I've finished the slide. I'm going to the next slide. And I spent so much time on the transitions and working on it, and now you guys are thank you for pointing this out. So funny. Hopefully there's a visual now to help you guys. Wonderful. So we got economic independence, financial freedom. We got the sacrifice, stewardship, multiplication. And these are the questions I've asked. What are you willing to sacrifice today to achieve your financial freedom? Are you ready to mature your stewardship abilities and grow your asset base? And are you ready to find ways to massively multiply your financial growth and assets? Awesome. Writing down is great. Now, one of the best ways to remember things, guys, is to now go share with somebody else. Within 24 hours, reread some of the notes. So just like when you get up in the morning, okay? I don't know if you're like me, but when I get up in the morning, I have 2 choices. And this is one of the sacrifices I made. I can get on my phone, clear all my messages while I'm on the throne. No judgment here. And I'm sure some of you guys do the same. Or I can read some books or listen to something that Rubika's told me I need to listen to. And I said, I'll be good steward of that. All right. Now, the sacrifice I make was I got into a habit of just as I get up in the morning, I'll go to the bathroom, I'll do a number 1, I'll come out, I'll grab my phone, I'll go to the bathroom, I'll do a number 2. And it's became a habit, right? So, and then while I'm sitting there doing my throne room activities, you guys are all grown-ups, right? So you're okay with all this. I'll be clearing my phone, right? Jerry, don't even think about replicating what I did because you get in trouble with your wife. And I'm already getting in trouble if you don't give me feedback now of how you went the other day. All right. So what I then did was I literally, and I know why I stopped sharing my screen and didn't share it again, was because I was trying to show you guys this. So I literally now have this. Okay, these are my books, and I take them into my throne room, my office, plop them there, and I try and read at least a chapter a day, and they'll start reducing. And I just look at the notes, and I'll make notes on everything. All right, and I just make notes. I'll circle things. I'll write things that make sense to me. And every book I've gotten, you might want to do this. I write down when I got it and why I bought this book. Why did I buy this book? All right. Now, it took me it's taken me a few weeks to change my habit. Okay, but I didn't do it all at once. Sometimes I do take my phone instead, but most of the time I'm taking books, and I want to start my day with some information knowledge to grow. All right. So that's a sacrifice I've made. What sacrifices are you going to make? Because I want to go to the next stage. So in a sense, I hit financial freedom, and then I'm like back to economic independence again for the next stage. Does that make sense? Right. And so you never stop. It's the next stage. And sometimes it feels like you're going back steps, but this is part of what I've seen with others as well. As you become billionaires, trillionaires, you want to quadrillionaires, you want to go to places, you're going to have to grow and then go back. Right. Now you guys are still seeing the screen, right? Yes, we're all good. Okay, good. So here's the other thing I want you to think about is where you are here. And again, this is a personal question that only you can answer. And I want you to think about two questions: how you feel where you are and where you really are. Okay, because sometimes we feel differently. Sometimes we go, "Oh, I'm a multimillionaire," but we really aren't. But we can feel like a multimillionaire, and we should. Okay, we should dress like that. You know, those who don't dress up, please dress up. Emolium told me she's going to start charging us otherwise. No, she didn't, but I'm just putting that in words in her mouth. And I love that she's encourages and said, dress up. I just had a meeting before a leadership meeting with our MetFi. I was in my champion hoodie, and I literally finished, had 3 minutes. I jumped on, put the music on, got into my closet, and dressed up. Why? Because Emolium told me to. And at the start, I didn't like it. Honestly, I didn't like what she was told me to do. But now Emolium, it's become a habit. I love it. All right. So how many of you would dress up next week? How many of you, well done to those who have dressed up? Or you give it a chance just to dress up top down. Still wear your pajamas at the bottom. I'm not wearing pajamas at the bottom today, but sometimes I keep my pajamas on. But dress up, feel good. Okay. And actually, when I was putting changing my clothes, combing my hair, putting some perfume on, like as I was going to go out, like, I feel good. All right. I reckon you guys should do that. Now, what I want you to look at here is the 4 stages. It comes from the good book of Genesis chapter 1 and verses 12, Genesis chapter 12 and verses 1 and 12 to 13. Dressed as a polar bear. Yes, you did. The first one is there was a drought in the land. And so it talks about being broke. And then there's these other 3 stages of breakthrough, flow, and overflow. And I like to call this permanent breakthrough. Broke is where you say, I don't have enough to pay for my basic needs. Breakthrough is where you say, I have enough to pay for my basic financial needs of rent, mortgage, food, clothing for me, my spouse, and family, but I don't have enough for savings, holidays, and luxury. Flow is like a scale of 1 to 10 is where I have enough financial flow without my personal input to live comfortably, enjoy life, and give beyond ourselves towards others' needs. And it's a scale of 1 to 10. And overflow is when I have more than enough overflow finances that I can live off 10 to 20% of passively generated income and give away 80 to 90% towards projects that make a difference. Now, obviously, we want to go from broke to overflow. And the verse that I really love is it says, and he began to prosper, continued to prosper, and is very prosperous indeed. He began breakthrough, continued flow, and became very prosperous, overflow. So I want you guys to think about right now, this is the best way to steward your next step. This is the best way to understand how to go from economic independence to financial freedom, is saying, where am I in this chart? And it's a personal conversation. And where do I feel I am? Or how do I feel about it? So I might feel like, and faith, like I'm in overflow. When I wrote the book on Better Than the Tides, which I highly recommend if you haven't got it, get a copy. All right. It has this in there, and it talks about the financial journey. And when I talk about that, at the time I wrote the book 4 years ago, I wasn't in overflow. But I spoke and I wrote in the book, I said, I'm not in overflow yet. I'm in flow. My family's in flow, but we're imagining. And so we're talking overflow, but we were not in overflow. All right. And I want you to think about, where am I wanting to be? Where am I feeling I can be? But where am I in reality as well? And that helps you know the next stage. If you feel like if you know you're in the broke stage, then what's my next step? Now, there are other people on the other side who feel like they're broke, but they're really in flow or breakthrough. They've got more than they realize they do, but they feel like they're always broke and they never have enough. All right. And so I want you to look at what's my reality in terms of financially, but also what's my reality in terms of my dreams and imagination and what I believe. Okay. Once you've done that, I want you guys, that's a personal thing again, write it down. You can share it if you want to. So imagine if you were going out, the little polar bears around here, how would you dress up to keep warm? All right. And just dress up like that next time. We'll get Joanne for some fashion tips when it's cold. Or you can put one of those, the things they wear in where was that, Russia, with all that fluffy stuff. And that'll keep you nice and warm. All right, guys. So here's something I want to give you some ideas on, because this is the topic we're covering today: how to create $1 million a year business starting from 150,000 per year. You ready? All right. So I'm going to give you some ideas, and we talked about so far what's in your hand. You have the treasure within you, and I actually believe a lot of you. It's not going to be for everyone, but a lot of you here are ready to get to that place where you can actually create a business like this. Okay, I'm excited about Rubika being part of a business that she literally, we're talking with the directors today, and one of the directors who's already done the similar thing in the same industry has gone from a $500,000 to a $2 million business, and said there's no reason why we can't make $1 million in the next first 12 months. And I'm like super excited for Rubika. Why? Because she's MDing all of this, and it's going to produce and going to help others, right? So if you want to make $1 million business setup, let's start with 150,000 first. Would that help everyone? If you can make an extra 150,000, yes. What's the biggest challenge? Our mind. Okay, my mind gets me sometimes. I've moved in from the business arena into the investment arena. I've enjoyed it for some years, and now I'm going, hey, heaven's like talking to me. I need to go back to the business arena as well. Why? Because those two are on the right side of the quadrant. And if you haven't read Robert Kiyosaki's book on quadrants, go read that. And that right side of business and investments, I have to keep up to date on them. Why? Because they're both vitally important. And we can't miss those. Don't be on the left side. What's on the left side? Employee and self-employed. Doesn't get us as far because it is taking away our time. So let's have a look at some things here for you guys. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster. You can take screenshots of these, just giving you ideas. So number one, how can you create 150,000 per year? High income skills and freelancing. Consulting or freelance work. If you have an expertise in a high demand field, example, technology, finance, marketing, you could offer consulting services or freelance work at a high rate. Some of you might say here, that's not me. Others of you might go, oh, yeah, never thought of that. I should look at that. Okay. Now, second part of high income, you can online courses and workshops, create and sell online courses or workshops in your area of expertise. Okay. Now, I'm good at the guitar. So is Ross. We could create courses that sell online and bring it out to the world. And everyone subscribes in it, and we can create $150,000 income once we know the process of this. Make sense? All right. You can do, there's amazing things that we could do if you just think outside the square. Number two, entrepreneurship and business ventures. Start a business, launch a high potential business that could generate significant revenue quickly. This could be in a trending niche with high demand. Rubika, that's what you're doing. Okay. Trending niche, high demand, with throwing something out there. And everything's a risk. Remember, high risk, high rewards, right? High returns, but it's very exciting. Okay. Next one, e-commerce. Start an online store with high margin products, leveraging platforms like Amazon, Spotify, or Etsy. Okay. You can make money from this. There are many people who do, and it's very, very exciting. Okay. Next, investing. Okay, stock market, engage in short-term trading or options trading, but be aware of the high risks involved. Real estate flipping, buy, renovate, and sell properties quickly, focusing on markets with rapid appreciation. Now, some of you might go, I'm not interested. Others might go, oh, that's interesting. I'm just throwing out ideas for you guys. Sales and commission-based work. High commission sales jobs, take on sales role in industries like real estate, luxury goods, or high value B2B services where large commissions are possible. Now in January, it's a high and a low, but I was engaged in a business, and within a month I produced commissions on number 4 here of about 80,000 USD. That's close to about the $100,000, $120,000 mark. That's my high. My low is my commissions haven't been paid out yet. All right, but hey, I was excited. I made it. Remember risks and everything. Will it be paid out? Yes, they told me they will. I'm waiting. All right, it's July now, but I know the people and I know how it's gonna happen. Okay. Example, just to tell you it's possible to do. I'm saying this to say within a month to generate that was possible. Okay, number 5, network and leverage relationships, partnerships, and joint ventures. Collaborate with others who have complementary skills or assets to launch a lucrative project or venture. Fundraising, if you have a compelling business idea, you could potentially raise capital from investors. Okay. Other opportunities, cryptocurrency and forex trading. Some of us are doing this, and we're looking at the bull run, and we're saying that it's possible for us to 10x, 50x, 500x on some of the coins, right? And that's exciting. Gigs and side hustles. Combine multiple high-paying gigs or side hustles that can generate quick cash. All right. How do you boost this up? I was just looking at a spreadsheet the other day of showing someone with their guitar lessons, funnily enough, how they can make $150,000 a year just by setting up 3 workshops 3 times a week and having, I think, 10 students in there, and how much they would charge, and they could make 100,000, 150,000 in a year. All right, so it's possible with anything, including hobbies, side hustles, gigs, etc. Okay, so some important considerations: risk management. High reward opportunities often come with high risk. Be prepared for the possibility of losses. Legal and ethical boundaries. Ensure all your activities comply with legal and ethical standards. Skill set and experience. Leverage your strengths and skills to maximize your chances of success. Conduct thorough research to understand the market dynamics and identify the best opportunities. Okay. Now, what I would suggest is the book I've written on business without capital. Got great ideas in there. Grab some of these and help you do your market research. Plan example, identify high potential opportunity. Okay, research, create a detailed plan and execute rapidly. All right. Monitor and adjust. All right. Hopefully this helps you guys. Now, if any of this makes sense, grab a screenshot, pop it on the chat group as well. So on a P61 Wealth Creation group, because it'll just help others as well. It might encourage you, remind you as well. We've got the recording for you to go through as well as this. How many of you here so far would be interested in $150,000 per year? It doesn't matter that whether you know what it is or not, because I'm going to give you something else. Pop in the chat group if it's a yes or no. Yeah, okay, would be interested. Great, we got one person. What about others? Okay, now, is it possible to do? Yes. The biggest problem is our mind. All right. So here's what I want you guys to do just before we finish. I will give you a complimentary 60 to 90-minute consult. Okay. So if you're ready, excited, and committed to create another income stream that you get to control and grow, then book in for a session. Okay. Try and do it this week, because I'll work out times this week and next week. And we'll look at the treasure within you. There's 12 questions I'll go through with you and ask you to kind of figure out, is this potentially possible? And one thing I will do is I won't set you up for failure. If it's not possible, I'll say it's not possible. If it's doable, but your mind is in the way, I'll tell you. If it's doable and your mind is ready to be coachable and learn, I'll tell you. All right? Because this will help you guys if you're ready to do something like this. Why? Because the whole idea of this series is to step in the next step in freedom, not to freedom. We want to do everything in freedom. We want to do things excitedly. So I want you guys to consider this if this is an option. It is not for everybody, but to help you guys. Why? Because once you get into a program that will help you, You stay laser focused for a certain period of time and you start to produce results. But you have to be coachable. You have to have your mind being willing to change and set up. Okay. Is it for new? No, anyone, Teresa, can jump in. Okay. So just send me a message afterwards on WhatsApp and say, hey, I'd love to have a 60 to 90-minute consult with you. Okay. It's complimentary. So in other words, it doesn't cost anything for you. Okay. But I would love to sit with you one-to-one because each of you have different needs. And what we want to do is grow you. And some of you can set up business and get it working. All right. Will that help you guys? For those who are showing great interest, okay? Because why? All those other things I've shown you sometimes can be overwhelming. Go, where do I start? So it's like, okay, let's go back. Let's look at these things and say, where do you start? But we'll start with your passion and dreams, okay? Because for me, the biggest thing is I want you to create a business that you're going to love. Don't create this milk bar that you're going to sit in that might bring in $200,000 a year, but it'll take up all your time. All right. Don't go and get another job that you're going to be like, I don't have time for anything else, but it'll be okay because I'm making 150 or 200 or 300,000 a year. Right. That's not, if that's the type of thing you're looking for, not me. Don't come to me. All right. What I want is for you to create a business that frees up your time, that frees up your resources. And initially, yes, you might have to put some time in to build it up, get it started, but it's also exciting. It also gives you help. It also gives you, buys back your time. How exciting that! It also helps you help others. Now, when I think about what I love doing, part of my passion is I love training like this. I love putting slides out. I was talking to one of my entrepreneur friends today, and he said, I have someone else who does my slides because I was showing him my slides and stuff. And he goes, I have someone else's story. And you could have been out jogging and spending time with your kids. And I was laughing, go, I did that already. But I said, I love just sitting in front of my PowerPoint slides. I have no more Mac. Used to be my keynote, but I moved to a PowerPoint. I'm still on a Mac. And I just love creating, and I love the passion behind it that comes from it. Because when I create, it just gives me this thing. I do it for free. I'm thinking, can I monetize this and actually create slides that would be that would help others, that I would benefit and make money from. Haven't thought through further about it, but I'm going to think through that. You get what I mean? So look at your passions, guys. I know Hiromi says, oh my God, Ross is married to his guitar and song, and Ross says Hiromi is married to her cryptocurrency, right? So now, what if you can monetize some of that fun from it? Have fun with it, enjoy it, and monetize it. Okay, so those are the things I want you to think about. Awesome, guys. Any comments before we finish? I got like 2 minutes and then we're out of here because
Can I just ask if you could put the first slide up of those last three? I got distracted and then I never.
The first one, was it this one?
Yes, yeah.
Let me just press play.
Mhm.
It doesn't want to play. Oh, here we go.
Yep,
You got it?
that's it. Thanks, Rueben.
No problem. Okay. Any comments, any questions, any thoughts before we finish? Margaret, how was that for you?
Was very good, but again, we've had this sort of conversation before. The concept of a business. I don't believe I've got a business brain. I don't know. I can imagine things and I can see things, but I can't imagine I can put it into place.
Great. So that's something that's worth you thinking about when the time comes. So if you feel like you're ready to book a session, do a session. Because at the end of the day, you can always say, not ready for now. All right. If it is time, because remember, we're all maturing. That's important. Yeah. So yes, I'll put the slides up for you guys as well. So yes, absolutely. And I love that when you're not sure, can I do it? Now, here's the thing, guys, before we finish, you always need to find people who are smarter than you.
Yes.
You bring the passion. Okay.
For me, it's about trying to draw my son into it.
Okay.
Because I see him as the one who's got the ability and I've got the ideas.
Brilliant.
But he doesn't quite see that yet.
Okay, so maybe a work in progress. All right. Guys, I'm gonna call it right now. I would love to spend more time here, but we've got another session to head off to. But I hope this has helped you. I'm glad Teresa said I enjoyed this last lesson. Perfect. I wanted you from the mindset getting to some practical stuff. We'll see you guys next Monday. Please reach out to a few people. Say, look, I've learned this. Would you come next week? Okay, because this free, it's valuable, it's helpful. All right. All right, guys. Have a good one. Take care.
Thanks.
And we'll talk next week.
Thank you, Rueben.
Thank you.
Great.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.